and welcome to Yes Japan Ask a Teacher Live, number 30. This is where we get together in the Yes Japan chat room after the Yes Japan Daily is recorded, and we answer your questions about Japanese. Remember, there are no dumb questions, just my dumb answers. I've got quite a few questions that I'd like to get to today, and I'm going to go through them in no particular order without accidentally closing them if I'm lucky. Let me open this up a little bit wider. I've got too many tabs here. First question is, it's a sort of a nice one by a new member that I have not seen before, by Dima Antonov. I'm guessing is how you say that. I have a question today. Could you please explain the hodo and how it is different from yori, from the yori comparison? I understand hodo is like to the extent of. Okay, give me a second to think. We do have a lesson on this. I believe it's Course 3, Lesson 5, something to do with going to Disneyland versus somewhere else, and it's a lesson where we do a lot of comparison. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, if that's not the lesson. So let's talk about it. So let's say something like the sun is hotter than the moon, right? So you say tsuki yori taiyo no hou ga. Okay, hang on. That's what the lesson's about. You're asking about hodo. Give me a second. Let's say this. Tsuki wa taiyo hodo atsuku nai. Now, I'm talking about the moon. As for the moon, tsuki wa taiyo hodo, as much as the sun, atsuku nai, not hot. So what you're saying is the moon is not as hot as the sun. The thing that the hodo is connected to is what you're holding the other item up to. So for example, let's say that I don't want to sound conceited, but here goes. Let's say that there's some amazing Japanese speaker and his name is Jeff, right? So let's say George's Japanese is not as good as Jeff's. So Georgie no Nihongo wa, that's the thing we're talking about. Jeff-san no Nihongo hodo umaku nai, not as good as. You'll notice that hodo is almost always, I think always, used with a negative. It's never, you could never say hodo umai. You won't. You'll say hodo oishiku nai. Kore hodo oishiku nai, not as delicious as this. Diet Pepsi wa Diet Cola hodo, Diet Coke hodo oishiku nai. Ain't that the truth? Now, so that's hodo, right? So you're asking, how is it different from yori? Now, yori is used like this. Tsuki yori, more than the moon, taiyo ga atsui. Do you see how that works? The sun is hot. Now I'm not using a negative, I'm using a positive. I think that's the rule that I just came up with. Now let me see if I can break my grammar. And let's see, let's go with Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi yori Diet Coke no hou ga oishii. Now, you don't have to have no hou ga. You could say Diet Coke ga oishii, but no hou ga gives it more of a, it makes it more substantial sounding. I don't know how to explain it beyond that. Diet Pepsi yori, more than Diet Pepsi. It means more than. Coca-Cola no hou, Diet Cola no hou ga oishii. So the thing that you're talking about is Diet Coke still, but the thing you're comparing it against is Diet Pepsi. Hopefully that makes some sense. If you want more about yori, go to, I believe it's Course 3, Lesson 5 of Yes Japan. If you're a member of YesJapan.com, I was surprised today when I was chatting with some people, someone actually asked, what is Yes Japan? But they'd been coming to the dailies, these live streams for quite some time, didn't realize that Yes Japan was a site that teaches Japanese, and that we have 5 courses, and the 5 courses are based on these Japanese from Zero books. These Japanese from Zero books are about 300 pages long, and we have 5 of them. Right now, only 3 are officially available for sale, but we have 5 of them, and those have been all turned into courses. And every sound, sentence, and phrase is clickable. You can submit questions to our teachers. I'm not the answer of the Ask a Teacher. I don't answer those. That's a very professional teacher named Kanako, who will answer your questions. And you can download over 350 videos or watch over 350 videos if you have the membership of Yes Japan. So I welcome you to try it out. Okay, now, next question is from, oh man, he's added a lot. Let's see here. This is from Bicto90, and he says, his initial question was a little bit hard for me to understand, and I asked for some clarification. He says, can you combine non-formal language with adding san on the name to make it sound friendly but respectful? I would say no. You can't just add san on their name and make it sound respectful. For example, let's take the rough form of come, which is koi, right? Or kinasai, right? You couldn't say Tanaka-san, koi. It's still rude. Just saying san in their name doesn't make it polite. If you don't have san in the name, well then it's either you really know that guy well, or you're being rude to him, right? So just adding san to the name makes the name polite, but it doesn't make the entire phrase polite. So let's see what he says after that. He says, for example, boku wa ikitaku nai na, Georgie-san wa. I don't want to go. What about you, George? See, well, that's interesting. Boku wa ikitaku nai na is not rude. That is your emotion coming out. I don't want to go. Na sort of makes it more emotional. Like, boku wa ikitaku nai is very factual. I don't want to go. Boku wa ikitaku nai na. I don't want to go. It's not rude at all. But if you said, boku wa iku wake ga nai, there's no way I'm going. Or even more ruder, boku wa ikitaku wake ne. I'm sorry, what was that? Ikitai wake ga ne. There's no reason I want to go, right? Or ikitaku ne, right? You just make it really, really rough. Then you say Joji-san wa. No, it doesn't help. But I like where you're going. What you said after that, I like where you're going. I'm not a fan of being formal. I'm very, very against it. Matter of fact, the very first chapter of Japanese from 04 is about when it's appropriate to be formal. And I make a very big point in that book of saying, listen, I don't believe you need to be formal in Japanese. You need to be polite. You need to know the formals, and there are occasions to use that formal Japanese. But if you're formal 24/7, well, you've got a problem. The standard mode that you should be in 90% of the time is just everyday Japanese. Ashita doko iku? Where are we going to go tomorrow? Because normally you're with friends. You're not always in I just met you mode. When you're in I just met you mode or I don't know you mode, then you're polite or formal. You certainly aren't like that with your wife, your girlfriend, your friends, your coworkers at all. And if you are, you're probably a shinkeishitsu, a person who's really wound up. So don't do that. Unless that's the, I gotta stress, if you're that kind of person, go ahead and do it. But I immediately throw away any formal stuff, any polite stuff, right after maybe the first 5 or so minutes of meeting somebody. And trust me, Japanese people aren't offended by it at all. And as a matter of fact, a really important thing to remember is that you're not Japanese. I'm going to say that again. You are not Japanese. Keep that in your mind. They don't expect you to be like Japanese. Just like if a foreigner came to your country and just learned the language, you don't expect them to know everything, and you're not going to be offended when they say something weird. You're just going to give them a lot of leeway, and Japanese people are going to give you that same leeway. All right, thank you for that question. It's really awesome. This question is pretty sweet. Solid Psycho asked a 2-part question. What's my best memory in Japan and my worst memory in Japan? Now, I'm sorry that, the first thing that came to my mind is honest, and I'm going to go with that. And it really has nothing to do with Japan per se. My best memory. Actually, I have a few really, really good memories, but the best one that came up was I was dating this girl, Yoko. And I broke up with her because I met this girl in Tokyo, and long story short, my friend made me call Yoko and break it off with her before I could do anything with this other girl. He felt it was the right thing to do, and I agree it was the right thing to do. But she was really, really upset at me. But then I realized after 2 weeks of dating this other girl that girl was a total crazy girl. I mean, she's just crazy. So I broke it up with her, and then I wanted to go back with Yoko. So I remember I went over to Yoko's house, and I picked her up, and we were in my car, and I was apologizing and trying to get her to come back to me. And I remember when she agreed to take me back and that hug that I did with her, and I could smell her shampoo, which is, till this day, nothing is better than Lux shampoo, super mild, or Lux, Shiseido super mild and Lux are the best smelling things on earth. And if any girl ever has that, I literally will go crazy. I love that shampoo. And she had it that day, and I smelled it, and I remember just, that moment is so vivid in my mind. I'm hugging her, I'm smelling the shampoo, and yes, I'm back. That's how I felt. Worst memory, the one that came to my mind was, it's a very vague memory. It's so long ago. I think it's before I could drive. But I had made these Japanese friends. I was teaching this one girl English, and in this classroom, I was hired by a man named Mr. Bostaschek, Mr. B, and I taught English very briefly in his school. But this girl had invited me to hang out with their friends, but I was late to going to meet them. But when I finally went there, the guy was really upset that I was late, and he said something to me like this. He goes, "Zannen da ne, Joji. Anata wa jikan ni loser da." He says, "It's unfortunate, you're a loser with time. Jikan ni loser da is what they say." And they didn't take me with them, and they left me there. It was a really, really sad moment, because a lot of times if I'm late, you can kind of get out of it. You can say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and you can get away with it. This guy did not let me get away with it. And I learned a valuable lesson that I probably should have happen to me again, so I'm actually on time every now and then. Okay, thank you for that question. Next question, bye. This is a weird one. I laughed really hard when I saw it. White Shiroi says, "Do you always need a tuxedo when you go to work?" What? Of course. Of course. Japan has a directive. It's Directive 59. After the war, MacArthur came in and they rewrote the Constitution of Japan. And Directive 39 in the Japanese Constitution says you must wear a tuxedo to work. I thought everyone knew that. Actually, it seems like you were joking. But and so am I. You do not need a tuxedo to go to work in Japan. As a matter of fact, with the summer being very, very hot and Japan having very, very bad electricity problems now that they don't have any nuclear energy after the 3/11 earthquake that devastated Japan, followed by the tsunami, and now they've gotten rid of all of their nuclear power plants because of the Fukushima Daiichi plant problem that they had. They are short electricity. And one of the ways that they're going to help with their electricity is not use air conditioning. So where Japanese people used to wear jackets to go to work, that's not going to happen anymore. There's probably going to be a lot less ties happening. As a matter of fact, even from many years back, they had a thing that they were calling cool business, I think is what they were calling it, cool to business or something like that. And the initiative was, look, you don't got to wear a jacket. It's summer. Let's not wear jackets and not use as much air conditioning, because you're hot already and you put this jacket on it, and now you need an air conditioning even on stronger than normal because you have a jacket on. It's sort of ridiculous. So I think that that's going to be accelerated, and you're going to see a lot of more people wearing polo shirts with an eddy with a collar. That'll be the limit. And good luck, by the way, going to Japan, White Shiro. I'm looking forward to hearing stories about your triumphs there. Okay, wow, gosh. Phew, this is going long. Let's get through them. Rini-san asks, can you explain more about adding un to verbs? Well, it's very simple. In informal questions in Japanese, you use no at the end, right? You say ikuno. Ikuno, are you going? And then you could answer with, believe it or not, ikuno. Yeah, I'm going. But another way that you can answer is, ikunda. Yeah, I'm going, with a des. You couldn't say iku des, but you say iku no des. Yes, I am going, but what happens is iku no turns into ikunda. The un is just a replacement of no. So you could, for example, say ikun desu ka? Are you going? That's a very valid way to say, are you going? Iku no desu ka is also valid, but not anywhere near as common as ikun desu ka. I mean, I don't know where that comes from. It's extremely normal. Even though iku no is casual, ikun desu ka is also casual, but it's a little bit more polite sounding because you have the desu ka. I mean, you'll hear it everywhere. Tabetai desu ka? Do you want to eat? Tabetai no desu ka? So that's where that comes from. So you could do it on the end of any adjective. You can do it in the end of any verb, but you never want to do it on the end of a polite form verb. Mas, masen, masen, deshita, mashita. Always want to be ikanain desu ka? Aren't you going? Ikanain desu ka? Ikun desu ka? Are you going? Ikanain desu ka? Taberun desu ka? Are you going to eat? All right, Eiju says, okay, here's a question about Yes Japan. Who designed the Yes Japan anime characters, and do they represent actual real-life people? Wow, I like this question, and I got the books out just to show you. This is the old version of Japanese from Zero. This character, which I designed, based on another character that I had a girl draw for me. I translated her website in English, and she drew the character for me, and then I took that character and designed it into a whole bunch of characters, like 50 different characters, and this is one of them. This is my daughter, Mari. This is her a few years back. This is the original book that we sold for many, many years on with this format, and that is Mari. That's a real-life person. This is Nanako. This is book 2. And that's a fake person that I made. Doesn't actually mean isn't anybody. But the girl that used to be on book 3, and I don't have a copy of book 3, that was my wife Yukari. I designed it off of her. And book 4 and 5 were me and Keiko. I don't remember which one was which. I think I'm on 5. It's a picture of me and a picture of Keiko on book 4 from the very first George and Keiko show. I took a screenshot of that and designed the characters on that. But the new characters are not based on real people. This is Tomoko, and she's designed by a company named Nitro Plus. They made the game Steins Gate, and they're involved with a lot of really famous games that you know. One called Guilty Crown right now. They're involved in designing that. And the guy that actually drew this is the designer of a game called Kenchako no Dai Boken, Kenchako's Big Adventure. He designed this, and I was extremely excited about that because my daughters all played that game when they were younger. It's a very educational game. That's Tomoko. What we did was we designed the characters. We said she's a 17-year-old girl. This is her name. This is her character. This is her character. This is her. Her personality. And we sent it to Japan. And over many months of going back and forth and redesigning, we went ahead and authorized the characters. This is Ken. He's also totally not related to anybody, but I did keep the Mari character. I named this one Mari after my oldest daughter, although my oldest daughter does not have blonde hair. I did keep the name Mari. And initially I had sent off 14 character designs to Japan, but it was way too expensive when they sent back the quote. Matter of fact, this is one of the largest investments I've ever made in the company. I think it ran about $7,000. I never spent that much money at once on anything for Yes Japan. But it was very, very worth it because book sales skyrocketed. People do judge a book by the cover. So if you're doing anything business-wise, I totally recommend spend money and don't do these crappy, really just crappy artwork here. Go with someone pro. All right, last question. Here we go. Bye. Ooh, I didn't even look at this one. I shouldn't have. It's too much. NJME writes, KAMO and KAMO SHIRENAI. What is the difference by adding the extra part? Then the other may be like Hyottoshite, I think is what you're thinking. Hyottoshite, maybe. And moshikashitara. I can't think of anything else right now. Okay, blah, blah, blah. What are the differences between these? Well, KAMO SHIRENAI means maybe or perhaps. And it comes at the end of the sentence. For example, I might go, Iku kamo shirenai. Iku kamo shiremasen. Or just the very casual, Iku kamo. Nothing changes when you add the shirenai. Kamo is just a shortened version of kamo shiremasen. Just make sure it's shiremasen, not shirimasen. But this is very, very common in Japan to say, taberu kamo. I might eat. Onaka suita kamo. Maybe I'm hungry. Now, moshikashitara comes before. And so does hyottoshitara comes before. Perhaps. It's like a phrase to set you up, to say something, setting it up, you know. It's like lobbing it. Boom, I'm getting ready to say something, perhaps. Hyottoshitara, maybe. And then you're going to say some sort of thing that you're guessing. Hyottoshitara, maybe. Moshikashite, is it this perhaps? Moshikashite, or moshikashitara, komiyabi wa onanoko kamo. Komiyabi wa onanoko. Maybe Komiyabi is a girl. Komiyabi, by the way, was on Yes Japan Daily number 50 doing a self-introduction. Go check her out. Very, very beautiful. So there's the answer to your question. Let me see if there's anything else. Nope, there's nothing else. Thank you for coming to Ask a Teacher Live. We will see you on the next one tomorrow. Please join us. What time will it be? Someone asked. I assume. I don't know. It's very random. Sometimes I'll do it at 2 in the afternoon. Sometimes I'll do it at 2 in the evening. The only way that you'll really know is to join us on Twitter because I don't like to send out a lot of newsletters. So I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. じゃあまた明日